Huddle time.
A sense of belonging in a company actually increases job performance by 56%.
It's like a lot of times all of that 3D data is there. They've done the work. They've done the engineering. They've done the slopes. They've done all the 3D polylines are already in their file. There's just a huge disconnect between what they do and the builders right now.
113,000 available unfilled construction jobs in this country, 11 million available unfilled jobs overall in this country.
One of the great culture things I see in construction is people just get it done. At the end of the day, we build 100% of the building. There's no 80-20 rule.
Think of the technology that has been brought into existence in the last 60 years, and you think of the productivity gains that have, say, occurred in agriculture, which is up 1,750%, or manufacturing, which is up 400%, and construction is flat to negative.
This was always supposed to just be a 6-episode mini-series, Stacey. I want to remind you of that.
Good morning. It is morning huddle time. Chad Prinky here with Stacey Holzinger. As always, Stacey, how are you today?
I'm doing good. Happy Careers in Construction Month. And we have Mr. Jarrett on with us today.
You have been so excited to have Mr. Jarrett on. We're going to announce we're going to introduce Mr. Jarrett in a minute. It's been yet another Herculean effort to get everything set up and going just in time for the show to start with technology. And then to tap on top of that, I'm joining from potentially sketchy Marriott Wi-Fi. We're not sure. Usually it just seems to work out. Knock on everything wood that is around me.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, Stacey, about Careers in Construction Month, and I was thinking about how obviously there's such a major effort geared around tapping into the students and creating passion and awareness and helping people to understand how they can create a career in the construction industry. I wanted to, and that's definitely what today's show is going to be about for sure. And from boots on the ground of somebody who's doing a wonderful job of it. But I also felt personally like, when we talk about careers in construction, we also don't probably spend enough time talking about being an awesome place to work and, being an industry that's fun to work in. And I just wanted to share that, there's this month, I want to say 4 of our clients have employee appreciation events, and whether it's golf outings or the company picnic or the launching of a leadership readiness program or an employee development program, and just wanted to say that it's there's a lot of it that's about the students, which is what we're going to focus on today. But if we don't fight the other end of the battle by making our companies awesome, by making our companies great, we're going to attract a bunch of people into an industry that they want to leave. So if we just bear that in mind in Careers in Construction Month, that if you're a company, you should also be, not only should you be thinking about how to tap into the student base and how to participate in creating the future of the future employees in the construction industry, you should also be thinking about how do we make sure that they're entering into an environment that they're never going to want to leave.
Yeah, where they're recognized and we retain our employees, they stay.
That's right. Yeah. So anyway, there's lots of options out there, and
we're getting creative. I'm liking what I'm seeing. So, but it all definitely starts with the schools and getting them interested.
Well, that's a perfect lead into our friend, the dope teacher. This is Mr. Jarrett. Mr. Jarrett has, along with him this morning, joining us from Philadelphia. Stacey, again, you've been so excited about having Mr. Jarrett on. Would you take a moment and introduce Mr. Jarrett? And Mr. Jarrett, please introduce yourself after.
Yeah. So, can you guys hear us? Just want to.
Yes, we hear you.
Okay, Mr. Jarrett's joining us from Mayfair Elementary School, and that's in Northeast Philadelphia, where I actually grew up. Did not attend Mayfair, but I lived blocks away from where Mr. Jarrett teaches. And one of my best friends also teaches there, which is awesome. So with that in mind, can you give us a little introduction on how you got started, Mr. Jarrett?
All right. I'm a former high school teacher. During COVID, my mother got really sick, and I was just done with teaching. My mentor, Mr. Richard Harris, he knew that I wanted to come back to Philadelphia. Well, I was on my way back to Philadelphia, and he told me about the program that they were starting here, but they was trying to find an instructor. He told me it was going to be a middle school program. Like I said, I'm a former high school teacher, so middle school, and everybody's talking about middle school, and I was nervous. And so I went ahead, put my application in, applied for the position. And like I said, it was just a perfect storm. The principal was excellent, and he's bringing Michael Jordan to Philadelphia. So I called him Phil Jackson. He allowed me to be Michael Jordan, and we got the best program in the city. And that's pretty much it. I mean, if you have a great administration, you will go above and beyond what you normally have to do in your job description. I get here every morning at 5:30. Don't have to be here till 8 o'clock. And I give my students my best every day.
Yeah. What type of skilled trades are you teaching middle school?
I'm teaching a high school curriculum. Like I'm throwing the kitchen sink at the kids.
Nice.
We start off with construction safety. So we do that for like 2 weeks. After that, we do introduction to hand tools, introduction to power tools, and then we start going into the different crafts. We take a vote if we want to do carpentry, plumbing, electrical, masonry. Masonry, we only do during our summer program in the first and fourth quarter because of the weather, because we do it outside. It's excellent. It's excellent. My students are learning a high school curriculum, middle school students. And the thing about Mayfair is that I can have up to 5 different languages at one time in my classroom. And I'm still able to get the content across, so they're proficient.
That's awesome. So I know you're really active with your dope podcast. If you could talk a little bit about that and how you get businesses on board to come in and do guest speaking, because I know you've had quite a few people, and that's awesome.
Well, one of the things that I wanted to do, I wanted to connect the classroom to the industry. I wanted them to actually see what we're doing. And like I said, I wanted us to have the best program in the city of Philadelphia. So in order to do that, I have to do things that the high school programs aren't doing. So I'm bringing industry professionals in to come and talk to the students. And I think it's important that you see that my students see faces that look like them. So I'm bringing males, females, everyone in to talk to the students to let them know about the different careers. In the podcast, actually, this is the host right here, Nicole. These are the pictures of different people she interviewed. We've done over 75 so far. First season, we have that wrapped up. We're starting our second season this year, and I'm trying to make it better each year. That's the goal, is to try to get better.
Are you doing all the outreach and getting the guests in? Or are they following you on
Yes.
their Instagram page?
It's a little bit of both. I think they see what we're doing now and they want to come in and witness it. Because a lot of people, they think like my pictures are staged or no, the kids are doing the work. When they come into my classroom, it's strictly hands-on. It's time to actually work. We're not doing book work in my classroom. Everything is strictly hands-on. But to get to that point, you got to get my theory done at home, and it holds them accountable. If it's not done, you're not touching any tools.
Mm-hmm. Has there been any other middle schools that came to visit you and want to follow suit and have a program just like yours?
I mean, there's a lot of middle schools that want to do this program, but the problem is resources, and they see what I post and think it could be replicated. It's kind of hard because, like I said, I get here every morning at 5 o'clock to think of different ways to engage my students and get the content across. Are all teachers going to do that? I'm more than likely not. So I don't know. I'm just hoping that middle school CTE picks up, but I'm also afraid of the dangers that it involves, because like you can get seriously hurt in my classroom because we're using the big miter saws. We climbing a 40-foot ladder, going up to the top of the school, coming down. We're doing electrical, and they have to test their outlets and switches when they're done.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine 15 fourth graders running around with propane tanks. It happens in my classroom.
That is scary.
Oh man, that's do kids have to qualify to be able to be in your classroom? Is there a certain is that like how does somebody end up lucky enough to end up in that class?
Uh, Man, I really don't know. That's above my pay grade. Like I said, when the kids come in, when I
You're
get
like
them, I
they're
teach them.
here, they're mine.
Hey,
Let's
listen,
go.
I get them, I teach them, and what happens is, like, I mean, I've been blessed to have her next to me because what happens is, I get a lot of Portuguese speaking students, and they don't speak English, so she translates for me, and she makes the videos, and I can share them to her. So I really just have to teach her, and she can just regurgitate it right back out to help me out in my classroom.
So pause. Portuguese speaking students in Philadelphia, are these kids from Brazil?
What was the question?
Portuguese speaking students, are they from Brazil?
Yes.
Cool.
She's one.
That's awesome.
I mean, Mayfair is like the melting pot right now. I have Spanish, Portuguese, Armenian, Arabic. I have a lot of different language at any given time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's got to be challenging, but at least you can show with your hands and talk that language, I would think.
Well, that's the difference. Like, honestly, I say Mayfair has made me a better teacher because now I knew my content, but now I have to get the content across to the different languages, and everyone learns differently. So I have to be able to get what I know across to them and make sure they're doing it safely.
So we had a guest on, Oscar, and he created this app called Need to Say, and that might help your classroom. Because they can have their phones in school or no?
It's weird. I used to have my classroom on QR codes. Then, everybody say no to phones. But my thing is, I don't know. I leave that above my pay grade once again. So what we do now is everybody has.
If you can incorporate phones, I would check out that app, Need to Say. I can send it to you. But you can all text each other and it automatically translates whatever you're trying to say, and it's geared towards the construction industry. So
that's
terms that you guys use, that might be really helpful for you in your class.
That's perfect.
Cool.
So I've thrown up some Instagram information, Mr. Jarrett. So if you're on Instagram, Mr. Jarrett _construction tech, #dope teacher. That is how you can find out more. There's a whole thing going on there that's worth checking out for our audience, that we should make sure we plug, not just this one time, but a couple times during the course of the show. I'd like to get to know Nicole. Nicole, tell us about yourself. What grade are you in, and what are you doing in Mr. Jarrett's class?
He's asking me that, what grade I'm in?
Yes.
I'm in 8th grade, and pretty much what I do in Mr. Jarrett's class, it kind of varies. So it's like, as he was mentioning, we do electrical, and then we have carpentry, and then we have masonry. So it kind of like sometimes varies, but like I love every single thing that we do in this class. But I have to say, by far, what I like doing the most is working with the podcast, because it's just something that I really enjoy doing, and it's just fun.
So that's one of the things that I think is it's so interesting about what you're doing, Mr. Jarrett, and what the whole classroom experience. Not only is there obviously it's a CLT program, but you're also teaching kids how to run a podcast, which is, has seriously positive effects on not only, I'm sure, their ability to navigate technology, to better navigate social media for productive purposes, but also it's got to do wonders for your confidence, right? It's got to do one. I mean, I'm trying to picture how on top of the world I would feel as an 8th grader, Nicole, being, running a podcast. Are you kidding me? How many of your friends have a podcast in 8th grade, right?
Yeah. It's also, like, you think about it, like I told the students, even the confidence with doing CTE is actually, it helps with attendance and all that, because when you come in, like, you think that you can't wire a basic outlet, the next thing you know, you're wiring a split receptacle. And what happens is my class is only 40 minutes. So we have to get this done in 40 minutes. You have to clean up in 40 minutes. And then it also, when you use the miter saw, a lot of kids are scared of the miter saw, and you just see the difference in their confidence when they come in here compared to when they when they leave, they're excited. My door has to stay locked because kids are constantly trying to get in this classroom. I got a girl right here playing on her phone in here, supposed to be at class, but she's here. It's just, we have a good time. Listen, we have a good time in here. And the thing about my classroom is when all the other classrooms are in here operate on DC. When you come to my classroom, you got to flip the switch on because I operate on AC. So when they get a taste of it, they're just like, yo, I want to go to Mr. Jarrett's class. This is where I want to be at. And I think it's just the environment. You're allowed to make mistakes. It's loud in here. It's the total opposite of all your other classes. We're blasting Michael Jackson working in the shop. I treat it like a job site in here.
Mm-hmm. How is the what have the parents thought about all this? Like, have you had any feedback?
If you look on the Instagram page, parents come to my classroom. They say I'm the best teacher. Like I said, and then also I send parents for the page. The Instagram's page is mainly for the parents to see what their students or what their child is doing in my classroom. That's why I started it, because you get some kids where they might not do as well in other classes, but they get here and they're excelling. So I think the parents should see that, so you can actually see the other side of what if your child is having a problem in other classes. It's okay to work with your hands. They're doing good in this class, and that's why they come back. That's
awesome. Do you have any certain success stories you can share?
Man, I got a lot. At Mayfair, I've tried to. One thing about this, I try to be a positive role model and also help the students to remove that stigma about the trades. Let them know they can do it. And if this is something that you want to do, I'm going to help you accomplish that goal. I have a young lady now. She just got into Swenson for carpentry. That's a high school. And I got her in. I had to fight to get her in because, like I said, she was that exceptional student that this is what she wanted to do. She wanted to go to the union. She wanted to become a CTE teacher. So I think I got to do everything possible to help them out. I got another young lady. She got a scholarship to Mercy Career and Technical School. And just from everything that she was doing in my classroom, and she was excellent, plumbing, electrical, masonry. She cursed like a pirate, but she was excellent.
She'll fit right in.
Yeah, I got this one right here. She wants to go to Swenson for carpentry. This is what she wants to do. So and then even for the young ladies, my classroom is majority, most of the time, 90% young ladies in there. So they're excelling.
That's awesome.
That really is. I mean, it's so as you picture, well, hold on. I got to go back here for a second. You were talking about getting into this program in 2020 or 21. Did you start running a CTE program during COVID?
That was yeah. What happened was the following year, I thought we were going to be back in the building. I taught the whole first year virtually. If you think I should have failed, but what happens is, like, as a high school teacher, when I taught high school, everyone wanted to be in the shop. This is what they wanted to do. But I had to start going out to different job sites, buying drones, buying 360 cameras to show them the other side of construction. So my thing was, I wasn't making carpenters now. I'm trying to make architects. So now they can tell you everything about it, but they don't know how to do it. So when we got in the classroom, that allowed them to do it. And I just focused on building relationships with the students. And so when I finally had the students in front of me, listen, well, I can't curse. It was excellent. It was excellent.
That's awesome. That is awesome, man. I love that. You know, there's a resilience there that you're teaching by modeling it, which is awesome. Like by being resilient yourself and by being creative and by being MacGyver, right, and figuring out how to make something out of what you have. That's a powerful lesson to learn. So talk to us, Nicole. Talk to us about the podcast. I want to learn about your podcast. I want to learn about what you're doing on it.
About the podcast.
So pretty much kind of what we do in the podcast, or
like run down what the podcast is. Hey, switching headphones. That's good. So Nicole, tell us about the podcast. What are you doing on the podcast? What how does the podcast work? Where will we find it? All that stuff.
So pretty much what we kind of like just do in the podcast, we have different guest speakers come in from all sorts of trades, and like we pretty much, what they do when they come here, they show our students on what they do, explain to them what it's like on their daily life and what they just do pretty much every day. And we come and interview them. They just talk about us, about our school, about their job, what they do, and like
You want to know how much they get paid, so stop playing.
how much they get paid.
Yeah, that's one of the questions you always ask.
Oh
Every
yeah.
time. How much money do you make?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the kids are always asking how much money like that they make, because I mean, who knows? Sometimes if it's a lot of money, they can probably go for that. But like a lot of us, we just love when we have guest speakers here because we can really like learn a lot from them. And pretty much this podcast has kind of really helped us with that, because I feel like if it wasn't really for our podcast, we would like, it wouldn't even be like this. So we're just so glad to have it, and all the guest speakers that have reached out to us wanting us to interview them. So we were really glad about that.
So it sounds like like if I could say this in a way that makes sense in my mind, Mr. Jarrett, you tell me if I've got this too. But it sounds like, imagine career day back in school, and you'd bring in somebody from the outside to talk about. For those of our audio listeners, something funny visually just happened to Mr. Jarrett. Sorry about that.
They're live from school. So
they're live from a school. It is what it is. But it's like career day every time you're doing the podcast. And if I've got it right, like the person who's coming in, they're not just doing a podcast, they're talking to the whole student body, and you happen to be making it a podcast. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. So they come in, they talk to all of our students about what they do, just like what their daily life is like, their work, how they got started in their industry. And pretty much when they explain that to all of the students, we decided to interview them, and we asked them all sorts of questions about their work and pretty much all of that. They talk about it to us, and then we interview it so that everyone else can see.
That's part of the reason why we record it. I saved the recording so I can actually play it for my other students, because what happens is, let's be honest, teachers are not letting the kids come to my class. All right, they got to sneak, go to the bathroom, and then at least I have these episodes where the students can actually see what happened in my class, and if they're interested in a certain career, they can listen to the podcast, see what steps is needed to actually pursue this career.
That's cool.
And who are some of the guest speakers that you have?
We had so much guest speakers before that it's honestly so hard to keep track.
What was your favorite?
I have to say, Tiny Plumber Girl. I loved having her here.
But you got to give a shout out.
Right
Honestly,
away.
you got to give out to the building trades in Philadelphia. They helped. They saved us for the summer program. You had Greg Laska. You had the finishing trades, Tarika Dixon. You had a lot of people that saved us. I got to say the trades, the union trades definitely support us here. You also had John Snyder, the plumber, that came out. Man, you better say all these names. You had Gilmore Richardson, council member Gilmore Richardson, state rep Amin Brown. We got stood up. Don't say his name. We got stood up the last episode.
Yeah.
Can't say his name. He stood us up. We mad. But he's gonna see this. Yep, we mad. But I'm just thankful for the support that we get. Because it's excellent. Without them, it helps me drive home my lessons when I'm teaching. And then if I find a student that's interested in a certain trade, I'm going to try to push them to that trade. So when you apply for your high school, you can apply for an electrical program. You can apply for the carpentry program like she wants to do. Try to get them ready for the trades.
Mm-hmm.
So this is my gut says. Sorry, go ahead.
Should we switch back?
Sure. Yeah, that's cool. Thank you, Nicole. I appreciate you walking us through that. That's cool. So from the sound of it, this is like, it's an elective inside this middle school program, no different than you got to pick. Maybe it's gym and it's health and it's Mr. Jarrett's classroom. And I'm not saying you got to pick between just those things, but
we know if they pick, you know where they're coming.
That's it's not a hard choice.
All right.
Not a hard choice. But so if one of the things that I'm hearing, I'm hearing kind of two things. One is if you're a middle school and a middle school administrator or a teacher somewhere in the country, or somebody in who's in a middle school, and they don't have, and by the way, they don't, right? Because this is the only
No,
one.
we're the best in the country. Best in the country. And we're the best.
But would you, I mean, do you want to be the only one, or would you rather there were more? So, right, like around.
I mean, I would love it if it's more. Like I said, I talk the way I talk so my kids can know that they're the best. Like, we're the only middle school doing this, so I want them to know they're special. So what happens is when you go to these high schools, you want to know you're cream of the crop. Like, you want these high schools begging to get you, not the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot. I can tell you're spending a lot of time developing not only skills but developing confidence and developing mindsets and things like that. Which is it's when we talk about career education, when you talk about education that actually prepares you to be successful in your career, cultivating a mindset's up there with about the top of the list. So I think that's an important aspect of what you do. But that's on one side of the equation. I'm hearing, hey, if your school doesn't have this, and chances are pretty good it doesn't, you should look into it. This is something worth doing. It's a 40-minute period that can inspire a kid and change a kid's life.
Definitely.
And even if they don't choose a career in the trades, this is useful information. I mean, it's these are life skills. These are skills that you can use for around the home, there's it's confidence building, and it's fun, and it's engaging, and all those different types of things. So that's one side of it. Another side of it that I'm hearing is, I don't know, it sounds like you've had a lot of tradespeople themselves, not necessarily like owners and marketing people and things like that coming out from these companies, but it sounds like you've had electricians and plumbers and carpenters and the people who are actually out in the field doing the work. And your favorite, Nicole, Tiny Plumber Girl, comes out.
Tiny Plumber Girl.
It comes out. This sounds like a tradesperson who's coming out to actually talk about their specific work. So maybe the companies that are paying attention to this show right now, think about like, hey, it's not that hard to get your company involved. Think about all the people that might actually want to go and talk to kids about their job. There's probably a lot of them. There's probably a lot of them who enjoy that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
we were actually at Labor Day Festival, and all the unions were there. We were actually doing interviews. We took the Dope Student podcast on the road, and we actually interviewed everybody that was in the union. We tried to get every union that represented Philadelphia. We tried to get them on the podcast, just because, like I said, I want to introduce my students to different careers. Okay. And this is the best way. And even though I do construction, we interview nurses. We're trying to bring all different careers in for the students. Because, I mean, everybody's not going to be in the trades. I'm okay with that. But
that's right.
I want to try to get them ready for high school. That's my goal, is try to get them ready for high school.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's then also, I've shared this story with, I don't know if I've actually ever shared it on the podcast, but my brother, he was one of those guys, like when he was in elementary school and middle school. I've got two brothers. My oldest brother, he went to Ivy League and he crushed it in all things academic. And I got another brother, middle brother, who he is a really, really smart guy, but he's not book smart like that. That's not how, and he struggled in school, man. He couldn't get good grades. He wrestled with it the whole time through. And then I'm telling you, it was in 8th grade, 9th grade. I think we were in Pennsylvania, western side of the state. He got exposed to Votech, and it changed his life. Absolutely changed his life. There's no way in the world, like, I don't know if he'd have finished high school, let alone ended up, starting his own business. And he's run his own construction company for 21 years or 23 years now. And it all came from that one exposure, one great teacher, one great program, and a belief in himself. So
didn't he win a national competition? You were
he
saying?
did. Yeah. He won the national, I guess it was VICA at the time, but National VICA competition for masonry. He was the Mason of the Year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It changed his life, really fundamentally changed who he was as a person. And so I'm a huge believer in what you're doing and what you're exposing these kids to. And for some of these kids, it has got to be the spark that says, wait a minute, hold on. I don't have to just like learn English and history and take tests. I can actually be measured on whether I can do stuff. And that was the biggest thing. You hear my brother talk about it now. The biggest thing is he's like, I hate learning stuff I can't use.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
and then here you learn by doing.
That's it. That's it. And it's not to say you can't use those other things, but it's harder to see the immediate application. And his brain got turned on when he started learning not math, but construction math. When he started learning math for a reason. When he started learning science for a reason. You know, that really
real world application.
That's right. That's right.
There you go.
So getting you know, if this would have existed just a few years earlier for him, I'm sure it would have even been better in his life. And so, you know, exposing a 6th grader to this type of stuff, I think good for you doing that kind of work. 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th.
I had 4th last year. I had 4th last year.
You had 4th grade?
Yeah, that's the class that she came to translate for. And I had them on plumbing. I had them doing plumbing. So what happened was we were actually on the news. They made the news last year, my 4th graders. All you got to do is Google CBS Mayfair CTE, and then you're going to see the article. I had a little 4th grader using a miter saw, the propane tank, MAP gas, sweating copper.
That's awesome.
That really is amazing. Hey, I want to get to some audience questions. I want to pivot to that, Stacy. But before we do, I want to take a moment and recognize our sponsors who help us to spread the word and help to grow the audience. First, I want to recognize Katz Abosch. This is an accounting firm based in the DC metro, Baltimore and DC metro area. Deep construction industry practice from an accounting standpoint. You can't do much better than Katz Abosch, so do reach out to those folks. Second, we've got Lawrence Law. Lawrence Law is a law firm that has a specialty in construction law, general counsel, as well as litigation cases. Reach out to Lawrence Law LLC. And lastly, we've got Frisco Woodline. Frisco Woodline is a lumber supply company based just north of Washington, D.C. Reach out to Frisco Woodline for all your lumber needs. All right.
Yeah, we have a couple questions.
Yep. Go for it.
So one is, any courses or sessions that you have on the technology side of construction, maybe BIM, VDC, robotics? Have you introduced any of that side of the construction industry?
Haven't got to that this year. That's something that I want to try to work on to. I'm thinking about doing that with my 5th and 6th graders, because I have them at the end of the day. And because what I try to do now is I try to keep my classes doing the same exact thing. So there's an easy transition, because when the classes come, they're coming. Like, there's no time to adjust. So that's something that I want to get into later on.
Nice. And I'm sure you have guests that come on, or if not, maybe you want some guests to show that side of things and come on.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
What else was I going to ask you? A lot of people are saying they're really excited about your program. How would you like businesses to get more involved, or what can businesses do to help support your program?
Honestly, time is the most important. Spending time. And then also what happens is, for like the new construction sites, all the scrap material that you're going to throw in a dumpster, bring it to Mayfair. Because what happens is we make stools out of that. They can still learn how to read a tape measure and make step stools. So all that helps out. But just coming in here, spending time talking to the kids about your career, that will help out tremendously, because that one conversation could be the spark for another student that's not being reached by one guest speaker.
Yep.
Yeah, love that.
I haven't even thought about that. What are the things that you can donate? That's an easy thing to do. You know, you might have even been ready to throw out. So it's a great point.
I'm just saying, you just renovated the bathroom. Yo, bring that toilet and tub over here to me, because we could use it over here. Like, we had a bathroom set up behind us where this used to be at, and they actually learned how to snake toilets. When we went around the school last year snaking toilets. I wasn't supposed to say that, but I said it too late. But the kids learned. They learned.
Yeah, hey man, that's putting it to good use.
Yep.
Yeah. What are your future plans for your CTE classroom?
Bigger, better. I just wanted to continue to grow. And ultimately, I want to reach more students. I got to figure out how can I do that? Because I think every child should have be afforded the opportunity to actually learn with their hands. Because it's a difference maker.
It is. Yep. Especially for some kids, it really is, man. Without it, they feel they don't feel like their full selves, right? And with it, it could be that, like we say, we keep using that term spark, but I think it's real. Awesome. Stacy, anything else before we move into wrapping up?
I think that's it.
Anything that the two of you would like to say? Thank you so much for being with us today, Mr. Jarrett, Nicole. Anything you'd like to say before we wrap up?
You better tell Swinson to come get you. Anything you would like to say?
So, I mean, I really want to go to Swinson, so I'm really hoping that whoever is there can really see this. So please put me into Swinson because I really would like to go carpentry or digital media. I would really appreciate it.
That's awesome.
I just want to say, oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say we'll be sending this along. We'll send it over like your promo video, Nicole.
No, I just want to say thank you to taking this time out to spotlight my program, and spotlight the work that my kids are doing here. It's not about me; it's about these kids. I'm just fulfilling my purpose right now. This is my purpose. I'm living in my purpose. I enjoy what I do every day, and I just try to transfer it over to my students, and like we can kick ass every day.
Yeah.
It's not work if you're having that kind of fun. I can tell.
Listen, there you go.
Good. That's wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us, Stacy. We have a little bit of cleanup to do. We hope to have you guys on soon. We'll hear about that bigger and better.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much.
Have a great day, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right. So Stacy, thank you for getting Mr. Jarrett on. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, he's a busy guy. It's hard to get teachers on. They're
well, yeah, this time is not friendly for East Coast teachers,
so
right?
We really appreciate that. I mean, the businesses need to hear from the teachers for sure. We have to, connect them. So
Yep. Okay, so next week we have an episode coming up with Saul Rosenbaum. He's going to come on and talk about getting contractors and engineers to play nice. That dynamic between the design community and the contracting community can be fraught, can be loaded with a lot of conflict. And Saul's going to be joining us to have a discussion about why that is and what we can do to change it. So that should be fun. Just a reminder, as always, we stream live on LinkedIn and YouTube. So if you're watching this as a recording, you could catch it live, contribute to the audience questions and comments. Tuesdays, 9 a.m. Eastern. Obviously, if you're not able to do that, you can check us out recorded on YouTube, on LinkedIn, as well as Apple Podcasts and Spotify, where we get a lot of downloads from people who are downloading us and listening to the podcast without the video, which in this particular case, given my grainy background in a hotel room, is probably not a bad choice. And finally, please email Stacy to be added to our weekly mailing list. The mailing list is growing and the audience is along with it. Please email Stacy H at steeltoecom.com, and we can keep you in the loop on what's happening every week. And if you happen to miss an episode, get a recap and a link and all that kind of stuff to make it easy. Stacy, is there anything I've missed or anything else you'd like to add?
Well, I think for this season, right, we only have 2 more episodes left. So I'm going to start looking for guest speakers coming up for season 6. We have a few lined up, but that season will begin in January. So we'll start looking for that. So any topics, we're always looking for fresh, trending, new content. We're happy to welcome back past guest speakers as long as the content's new or updated and fresh and things like that.
Yep. It's as a reminder to the audience, it's a platform for people who are creating positive change in the construction industry, and there's no limits on that. So anybody who has the ability to come on and share a story about positive change and what you're doing or people are even doing to make an impact, please reach out as we fill out our next season guest list. Thank you for that reminder, Stace.
Sure.
All right, good.
Right. See you
I think
next
that covers it.
Yeah. See ya. Have a good
See ya.
one.